The first thing I'm going to do here is create a sphere, resize it, and then rename it to bullet. It's going to serve as our bullet prefab. Attach a rigid body to the sphere and set its mass to 0.3. Now turn the bullet into a prefab by dragging it into your project folder. You can now delete the bullet that's in the scene. Add a component to the prefab. Type in bullet to create a new script and open up the script. As soon as the bullet's instantiated, we want it to start moving. So in the update function, we're going to go ahead and put transform.position plus equals transform.forward times time.delta time. I'm also going to add in a float variable to control the speed. Right-click on main camera and create an empty game object. This will serve as our bullet spawn point. The next thing you're going to see me do here is create a new script for player input even though one already exists. This is only because the default input controller is JavaScript and I heavily prefer C#. So ideally you would just add the following lines of code to your existing input controller. So what your player input script needs is a public game object that we'll be passing the bullet prefab into and a public transform for our bullet spawn. In the update function, I'm going to say if input.getButtonUp fire1, and then I'm going to make another function called void shoot, and I'm going to call this function inside the update. The shoot function instantiates a bullet at the bullet spawn.position and the bullet spawn.rotation. Back in Unity, drag the prefab and spawn transform into your player script. Now when you press play, you should be able to shoot bullets with your fire button. But the bullets don't have any kind of collision detection in their script, so we need to go ahead and set that up. Add a tag called enemy, and then tag your enemy with it. In your bullet script, add an onCollisionEnter function that takes in collisionOther as a parameter. It's going to check if other.gameObject.tag is equal to enemy. Before we can get any further here, we need to set up the enemy canvas. So right-click on enemy, go to UI and select canvas. Change the render mode of the canvas to world space and then drag in your main camera. Reset the rect transform so that it centers on the enemy, and then change the X and Y scale to 0.03. Change the height to 40 and the Y position to 1.56. Then rename the object to enemy canvas. Right-click on the canvas and add an image. Drag in the health bar sprite and check Preserve Aspect. Change the height of the image to 18.5 and the X and Y scale to 0.67. Set the Y position to -7.2. Rename this image to Health BG. With the image selected, hit Ctrl-D to duplicate it, then drag the duplicate into the original and change its name to Health. Now I'm going to change the color of the health bar background to a dark gray and the foreground to more of a red. Change the image type of the health image to filled. Set the fill method to horizontal. If you hit play now, you'll notice the health bar isn't always facing the player. To fix this, drag the CameraFacingBillboard script onto the enemy canvas. The health bar should now be facing you at all times. Click on the enemy game object, add component, type in enemy to create a new script, and open this script. Set up variables for health and max health. Ignore the public health variable I made here as you won't be needing it. Next, I'm going to make an image variable named health bar. You're going to get an error, so right-click on Image, go to Resolve, and import using UnityEngine.ui. Copy what you see me putting in the start function to initialize the health bar. Next, create a new function named hit that takes an integer as a parameter. In this function, I'm going to subtract the damage from the enemy's health and update the fill amount of the health bar image. Don't forget to make this function public so that we can call it from the bullet script. Now go over to the bullet script, and inside the onCollisionEnter function, we're going to say other.gameObject.getComponentEnemy.hit, and then we're just going to put in a 10 to test this out.